We heard so many wonderful things about last week's Wednesday night after the big election. That was a phenomenal evening. But tonight, we're going to do something that I just love because the people who are speaking are such dear, close friends of mine, and we've worked together for so many years. The Dukakis Center for Urban and Regional Policy, now since 2002, has put out the Greater Boston Housing Report Card each year, keeping track of what's happening in housing in the region, what are the economic conditions that determine how the housing market works. We've looked at the whole question of home sales, home production, we've looked at the rental market, we look at affordability, we look at new issues as we did this year, the student housing market. And every year we have a big celebration of this report and a big discussion of its findings at the Boston Foundation. And each year for the last several years we've had, as part of our panel, two of the guests we have tonight. Earlier today, I addressed a group of Northeastern alums up in our Burlington campus. And without any prompting, one of them asked me, Dr. Bluestone, you're an economist, tell us what will it take to get the economy going again? And I said, well, I think we're in something of a chicken and egg problem, with or without what happened last Tuesday's elections. And that is the housing market is such a critically large part of the economy that when the housing market's in trouble, it often drags the economy down. But unfortunately, it's also true that when the economy's really in trouble, it drags the housing market down. And so if you were to ask the question, if we want to speed up the economic recovery that seems to be quite fragile at this point, what is the role of housing? So we want to look at housing from many, many dimensions tonight. Some people would suggest, as the Cardinal Law did to me when we began this work 10 years ago, it's a moral obligation that we have housing, decent housing for everyone. And the Chamber of Commerce, the other sponsor of our original report in 2000 called The New Paradigm for Housing, said, whether it's a moral obligation or not, it's an absolute economic necessity. We need to have housing that's affordable to working families if we want to keep young families in Massachusetts. And we have among the highest housing costs, both in terms of sales of single-family homes, condos, as well as rents. So this is a critically important sector of the economy. It's a critically important sector for the governor to address. It's also true when the governor was first elected 4 years ago, he decided, on the advice of many of us, to take what had been the housing department and the economic development department and put them together in one. So we now have the Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development. Says something about what we've been talking about this semester. So without further ado, we are going to begin, as we do, with our two guests presenting us with some material. We're going to start with my friend Carl Chip Case, dear friend of mine who I've known for now 25 or 30 years, one of the most renowned, if not the most renowned housing expert, not just in Massachusetts, but in the nation. The most important housing statistic we do on the values of homes bears his name and his friend, Case-Shiller Index. Chip recently retired from full-time teaching at Wellesley, where he taught for a long time in order to improve his golf game. And he's doing a very good job of it. But he continues to be a voice heard across the country anytime anyone needs the best advice on housing. So we'll first hear from them. And then we're going to hear from my friend Elise Cherry. And Elise is the CEO of Boston Community Capital, one of the most important organizations in the state in the housing field. Not only thinking about what are the kinds of housing choices we should be making, but actually playing an important role in investment in housing. And so the two of them, probably the two most important experts we have anywhere in New England, will grace us this evening, and we'll start with Chip Case.